Hello, everybody. Tyler James here. And on this broadcast, I want to talk about three unique opportunities for comic book creators that have been created as a result of what's going on with the COVID crisis, the pandemic, and everything that's happened there. If you're watching this replay, let me know how you're doing. I want to hear from everybody. One thing or one caveat is that I want to just say that the three opportunities that I'm going to be talking about today are not related to Kickstarter, or they're only tangentially related to Kickstarter. Most of you that listen to the Comics Launch podcast, subscribe to that podcast, or follow me on the Comics Launch Facebook page, or maybe some of you that may have just recently joined the new Comics Launchers private Facebook group. Would love to have some more of you in. If you haven't joined that free group, just go over to comicslaunch.com/group and request to join, and our group manager will happily process you and invite you in if you are a comic creator committed to launching successfully on Kickstarter. So hope to see you in that group. But you know that a lot of what I talk about is the Kickstarter platform. But what I want to talk about today is some of the opportunities that I'm seeing that have come about as a result of the massive, massive disruption that is this COVID crisis. And I want to also start with the caveat that I fully understand that I am actually quite lucky and quite privileged to even be in a position where I can sort of sit back and calmly look and point out some of the opportunities that have come as a result of this whole crisis, right? Yes, like everyone literally on the planet, I have been affected by this crisis. I'm doing like triple the hours of daddy duty that I normally do because daycare is canceled. And so that is definitely contributed to some longer days than usual for me, and a lot more hide and seek. That I've pretty much exhausted all hide and seek spots. It doesn't seem to mind, the boy doesn't seem to mind, but for me, I'm running a little on empty there. But besides that, and the fact that I haven't been able to get a haircut in a while, like we've been definitely a lot lucky. Both my wife and I have worked from home for many years now, for several years now. And so that hasn't really changed for us. For myself, I do not have an employer. I work for myself. I did the process of building my business on the side while working a 9-to-5. And, several years ago, I left it and I've left it for good. And so I am my own boss. And I've decided that we are not affected. And I also, my business has a very diverse set of sources of income and revenue. And a lot of those sources have been largely unaffected. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of the sources of revenue for Comics Tribe definitely have been affected, conventions and Diamond in particular. But the timing has sort of worked out that I actually did not have many major conventions scheduled early on in the year. And we also did not have a lot of existing Diamond product that either we were waiting for checks on. I know that we saw some headlines where Diamond was late on payments to publishers. That really didn't affect us, and we were also sort of in a production mode right now, working on some new series and some new things. So we actually didn't have a lot of Diamond releases that would be coming out in the near term. So again, lucky, privileged that I haven't been, terribly affected by this as of yet. And so what I want to just offer, though, is if you are someone who is like seriously affected by this and like the idea of even thinking about opportunities is just like something that, is going to put you in a sour mood because you are so affected, like turn me off. Come back later when you're in a better headspace. Like I won't be offended. All right. And then also, if you're someone that you're not been seriously affected, but your bandwidth is maxed out right now. You're stressed at doing work from home and learning how to do that and raising and teaching your kids and all that other stuff, or you're just, mentally the news is draining you and you feel bad. Like, I don't want you to feel bad at all if you're not maximizing any opportunities that are out there right now that you might not have been aware of, right? Like, it's okay to just be getting by right now. That's perfectly fine. In fact, that's amazing. All right. So just, I wanted to put those caveats out there before we get into some of the opportunities that I'm seeing, and understand that, like, there are no like whenever there's problems, right? There are always going to be opportunities. That's just how they work, right? Because like, there would be no business anywhere if there wasn't a problem, right? If there weren't problems. And so when there become these massive problems, yes, there's massive disruption, but there's always going to be pockets of opportunity that pop up if we are able to take a step back, understand that change is inevitable and is a part of how things go, and be able to just sort of see those things. And so I want to encourage us all to be able to do that when we have the bandwidth to do that. Now, sort of one of the caveats here is that I'm not going to talk about Kickstarter because I've talked plenty about Kickstarter. I've done a couple of recent live streams and recent podcasts about my advice for creators who are considering launching during this COVID crisis, and what they should be considering and things like that. But while my, having just come off Comics Tribe's most backed project for a graphic novel project ever, obviously I believe that the Kickstarter platform is, you should be going full steam ahead with your planned launches as long as you're ready and as long as you've been getting your audience ready for it. Full steam ahead is my take. But I do feel a need to discuss some news that dropped today. Not sure if you saw it, but over at Verge did a little article today where it said that Kickstarter is planning layoffs after new projects on the site drop off by 35%. And they're starting their talks with the union. So this is obviously something that is a big news and a big development. And so, you can check out, I'll link up this article to The Verge afterwards, or if someone who's watching live has a link to it, you can just throw it in the comments, would appreciate that. But the idea here is that Kickstarter has been affected just like most businesses that are out there. And this is something that I noticed recently, that there was like a massive drop, like over 100 project drop just in the comic book category on Kickstarter between March and April, when traditionally April is a big month for Kickstarter launches. And so what that told me is that there were a lot of creators that were thinking about launching, planning about launching, working about launching, that just pulled back the reins and said, maybe now's not a good time to launch, right? And some of those delays probably valid. Those creators, may have been completely, had, all the time that they were going to use for their Kickstarter, maybe that's being spent teaching their kids their ABCs, right? And so it's some of those are totally understandable. Some of those may be creators just thinking that now is not a good time to launch. But that's happened site-wide on Kickstarter. And remember, Kickstarter, the only way they make money is when projects fund. All right. That's Kickstarter's only source of revenue. They don't charge you to launch projects. They don't charge you for advertising. They don't charge you for anything but getting your project funded on their platform. And so 35% less projects drops has meant total revenue drops, right? And one of the things that they said in that article was that, here was a line that the Kickstarter CEO said. He said, although projects on the site continue to garner plenty of support from backers, we've seen many fewer projects launch on the platform over the last several weeks, and the live project count is about 35% below what it was at this time last year, with no clear sign of rebound. And as a result, our pledge volume and revenue are tracking sharply down as well. Okay. So a couple of things that I just want to point out here. First, the projects that are launching on Kickstarter are actually still doing great, right? The success rate for comic projects actually went up, even though the number of projects launched went down over the last month. So the problem isn't that projects aren't being funded. The problem is there's just a lot less projects that are being launched. And in total, That means less revenue. All right. And this is another one of those reasons why the argument that, someone else, like a famous person launching a project on Kickstarter, is going to take dollars away from you and your projects. No, that's not how it works. Right. The people aren't just waiting to back any projects, right? They need to want the projects that go live. All right. And so if less projects launch, less total revenue is going to be raised. It's not like the revenue, like the backers are just going to spend more on it on any individual project. All right. So it's important to understand that. And so Kickstarter is definitely hurting a little bit right now from this, just simply in terms of the projects are not launching. All right. Now I've had one of the creators in my Comics Launch Pro community sort of brought this up and asked for my feedback. And he was sort of specifically asking, hey, does this mean Indiegogo is the way to go now? Right. And basically the thinking was, well, Kickstarter is struggling, but I haven't heard anything about Indiegogo struggling. So does this mean, we should bail and switch from Indiegogo to Kickstarter, even though I've built my audience on Kickstarter? My advice, no way. No way. There's no evidence to suggest that Kickstarter has stopped working for creators that are launching during this time. So that's the first thing. And the second, there's also no reason to think that Indiegogo isn't going through a similar deal right now. It's just that Kickstarter is now has a union, so the word was going to get out anyway because they have to discuss with their workers in a more transparent way than any other company out there. So it's not surprising that this word got out. Indiegogo is just a less transparent company. And I'd also say that a 35% drop in projects launching on Kickstarter is still a lot more projects than are launching on Indiegogo. So I don't think it's time to jump ship. What I do think it is, though, is, if were planning on launching, launch those projects. It's sort of up to us to keep that Kickstarter platform up and running, right? We're the creators of there. They need us right now. So let's launch. All right. So that's the last I'm going to say about Kickstarter stuff, because I did promise you to talk about opportunities above and beyond Kickstarter. And so I want to talk about 3 opportunities right now. So the first opportunity for comic book creators that has been created as a result of the current pandemic is that I am seeing a massive increase in the number of high caliber artists who are available to work with creators out there. All right. And I'm seeing, on a daily basis, some artists that I've never seen sort of make themselves available, or mention that they're open for commissions, or they're open for cover work, or they're looking for anthology projects, or they are available for even bigger work for hire projects. I already took advantage of this during the She Kickstarter as we were pulling together all our back matter and realized that we were going to have a couple extra pinup pages. I realized, hey, I've got a couple extra pinup pages, and I saw a couple of artists that were offering incredible deals on pinups. And I said, you know what? I got a page. I'm going to take this up for them. And, in some cases, these artists, they really need it because they've had other jobs go away. And so I just saw that as a great win-win, a win for our backers because they're going to get more awesome art in their books, a win for the artist because they're filling up their workload and recovering what they might be missing otherwise. And definitely a win for us for getting high caliber art at a great deal, right? And what's amazing and interesting about this time right now is that, even Marvel and DC have had to really cut back their catalogs, which means some, A-list and B-list, pro level talent is sort of out there and they've got holes in their schedule, right? And so this would be a great time for creators that want to make a significant upgrade in the caliber of the work that they're putting out. And whether that means the interior pages that you're doing or the covers that you're putting out there, this is actually a great time to invest in high quality art. Now, John Santana, what's up, John? Says, where's your go-to for hiring artists? Is it DeviantArt? Is it Instagram? Honestly, it's neither of those platforms because I am not a big, I'm just not a big search for those on those platforms. I don't spend a lot of time on my Instagram feed. I don't spend a lot of time scrolling through DeviantArt. Those are places where a lot of people do find artists. And so it's sort of like one thing I would say is if you're already natively going there, I would do that. But honestly, John, the best place that I've found or the best way to do it is I actually want artists to come to me. And so I will find some places where artists regularly go to look for work. I will post an ad and I try to make it as attractive sounding as possible and as clear about what the ask is. And I'll post there. And then I want them sending inquiries to me about getting the job. So the talent forums on digital webbing have still been a great place that posting works. I know a lot of creators that find artists on Upwork, which is a good place to post for jobs, and it's very international. And then the other thing is, I do follow a lot of artists on social, and so that's where I'm seeing some availability pop up is just artists that I've been following for a while, or maybe I've met at conventions and have been friendly with, and I see, hey, this person's available. So those are sort of my go-tos. Obviously, having a personal relationship with the artist is the best, but if not, I actually prefer putting together a solicit or a job, posting that on job boards, and then letting them come to me, because then at least I know that they are available, rather than falling in love with an artist on Instagram or DeviantArt and realizing they're book solid for the next 2 years, right? So that would be my advice to you, man. Thanks for asking the question. All right, so that's the first one, and that's sort of an opportunity to significantly upgrade your product by getting high caliber artists who might not otherwise be available, that now have extra availability and flexibility in their schedules and are looking actively for more projects to work on. So that's opportunity number one. Opportunity number two is that there is a lot of content slots out there that need to be filled by creators like you. All right. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, one thing that, this is a weird pandemic in that you've got everybody at home, and at home means people are tied to this, and they're tied to their screens, and they're just on the internet. Now, I've sort of said, like, we can survive this, but if the internet goes down as a result of this, all bets are off. It becomes like the no coffee scene in Airplane. For those of you guys that remember that one, just cats and dogs killing each other and or friends, whatever. That would be panic. But as long as the internet is up, what we're actually seeing is internet traffic is way up right now because everybody is online. That's the only way that we're connecting. And this social distancing, it's not normal, it's not natural, and so people are craving interaction, content, etc. And so as a result, what I'm seeing is a lot of people that have always sort of wanted to start a podcast or a video show or a Twitch stream or organize a online convention or online panels. I'm seeing a lot of people saying no time like the present. And so there's a lot of availability right now, and a lot of people starting new shows. And when you're starting new shows or panels or online streaming events or that sort of stuff, that means there's a lot of slots to fill, right? And so one of the things that traditionally a lot of creators, especially creators that are new, have trouble doing is getting anyone to have them on their show or interview them or just take an interest in their stuff. But what I'm also seeing right now is that all these new opportunities and available of people that are starting up shows and things like that are looking for content slots to fill. So I would encourage you, if you're trying to get your message out, you're trying to build your audience, to take a look at what are some of these new shows out there? I talked to Rob Anderson a couple of weeks ago. He's been filling up daily content slots with creators and been doing sort of weekend conventions and panels. And that's a ton of content that he's been putting out. Russell Nolte just wrapped up an online writers conference where he brought together dozens of writers that all, did streaming, and they were sharing their stuff and filled up, hours and hours and hours of content. And he's getting ready to do something again soon with his alt free comic book day event that he has been planning and putting together. And I'll be having Russell on to talk about that and to tell you guys where you can go to find more information about that and get involved. So that's another example. I just recently talked to Emily Druin, who is doing KidsCon. And KidsCon is an upcoming kid-friendly comics and children's book event. And they're looking for creators to submit content and programming for that. So and inside my Comics Loves Pro community, I have a couple of creators that are just starting podcasts or have just started podcasts and are about to launch them. And I know they're going to be looking actively for more people to get on and talk comics with and talk about this world of creating. And so there's a lot of content slots to fill and a lot of eyeballs that are hungry for content. So now is a great time to, if you're not interested in starting a show yourself or starting a podcast yourself or even blogging or webcomicking or whatever yourself, there's a lot of opportunity out there to reach out to other creators, suggest a topic for a show or something that you want to talk about or an area of expertise that you want to get out, and just jump on there. And I would be shocked if this is something that you want and you do a little bit of hustling. I'd be shocked if you couldn't get on a dozen shows in the next month and really help spread your message and spread your word. All right. And so that's number two. There's a lot of content spots to fill. And so it's easier than ever, I believe, to get on other people's shows, other people's podcasts, and get your message out for promotion and marketing purposes. So I hope some of you will take advantage of that. All right, let me take a quick sip here. And now I want to drop the third and final unique opportunity that has been created by this COVID crisis. And, one of the big principles that I sort of, operate from is that, we know that physically, like, energy can be neither created nor destroyed. It just gets moved and it gets transferred, right? And the same thing is with economy disruptions, right? Like, we didn't just suddenly lose like millions and millions of dollars because our economy and money and everything, it's really energy. That energy is just getting shifted around and changing hands and going into different spots. And it is creating, obviously, because we haven't never seen anything like this, it's creating weird stuff. Like, for the first time ever, I don't know if you saw this, the price of a barrel of oil went negative, basically meaning people were paying for a little bit. People were paying you to take oil off their hands because there's so little demand right now, and production didn't drop, and they just don't have the places to store it, right? And so crazy stuff is happening. Right now, there's a crazy thing happening, and this is the third example of an opportunity. There's a crazy thing happening with Facebook ads right now. And so my third opportunity for creators like us is that Facebook ads right now and for the last month have been on a serious discount. All right. And so this is something that I know a lot of creators don't use Facebook ads or haven't really dabbled with Facebook ads or have only tried them here and there. But what I will say is, for a lot of creators, especially creators that do a lot of conventions, guess what? The reason you do conventions is because you want the ability to get in front of new people. What do? You pay a convention fee, you pay a table fee. That $300 doesn't guarantee you any sales, but what it does guarantee you is traffic and eyeballs and the opportunity to make a connection with people that might be interested in your stuff. And so I know a lot of creators are hesitant to pay for traffic or use that as a strategy. But what I'll say is to them is, if you've ever done conventions, you've already paid for traffic. It's just a different kind of traffic, right? But we're in this weird, almost like unprecedented situation where the demand for Facebook advertising has gone massively down, because I have one of my sisters works for a big streaming company, and in the advertisement department, and she's basically said that all she's been doing is canceling advertising drops. Like, advertisers just drop and cancel. And so, advertisers, Facebook is an advertiser, like, they've been seeing this happen. People are just slashing their marketing budgets. But as a result, there's a lot less people, using the advertising than there were, 2 months ago. While at the same time, though, the total number of eyeballs, as we just said, the number of people that are online, that are on Facebook, that are scrolling their feed, just, even almost just as a stress relief, even if it doesn't actually relieve us stress, sometimes it makes it go up. But a lot of people are like on Facebook. Facebook usage is going way up. So there's this weird thing where you've got more people on the platform and far less people using the advertising platform. And as a result, the cost of ads have returned to like prices that people haven't seen in years. Just as a little example for myself, I have same exact ad. And one of the strategies that I teach inside of my ad launch program, which is included for Comics Launch Pro members, is the strategy of building ads as assets. And then once you find an ad that really works and an audience that's big enough that it really works for, you keep that sucker rolling. All right. And so I have some ads that I've been running for years, literally. But what I did is I compared the cost of a lead from one of my ad sets for the last month to the cost of what it was a year ago. Same month, same ad, same audience, but last year the cost was, or for the last month, same ad, same audience, costs were down. Were just 42% of what it was the year before on one of my ad sets, and down to just 31% of the cost of what it was a year ago. So that's a pretty significant drop, right? It basically means like, hey, you're getting 3x the return, the same return, or the 3x the return that you were getting on that ad that you were a year ago. And a year ago, I was fine with that ad running and the return that I was getting on then. So now it's like, well, triple the advantage there. Like, that's pretty amazing. One of the Comics Launch Pro members that I was talking to recently, like, he said he's getting the lowest cost per click that he's ever gotten to build his email list. And his list is building up. It's building faster for less money than ever before, right? And so this is one of those unique opportunities, and one of the things that I'm really double, tripling, quadrupling down on right now is audience building. Like, I'm trying to build this audience because I know, like, and you should know this, like, if you do good stuff, if you create great stuff, then once you attract an audience, like, all you have to do is keep creating good stuff. Like, for most of us, the problem isn't that our stuff isn't good. It's just that nobody knows about it. And so now, at an opportunity, at the time when the ability to get in front of an audience is at a low cost, and that audience is especially hungry and receptive for content and online, and we know everybody's online, like, right now I'm doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on the audience building part of my equation. All right. Now, if Facebook ads are something that you'd love to be able to do, but you also don't want to, lose your shirt on them, or you don't know how to do them, again, we do have a program inside of Comics Launch Pro called Ad Launch, where I show you how to set up a Facebook ad system for your creative business. So feel free to shoot me a message if you want to find out any more information about that, and we'll get you rocking and rolling. But I do want to just point out that right now it's like this really unique opportunity to getting advertising advertising on discount. And I'm sure that's actually the case on just about every other ad platform. I know, my sister that works for the streaming service, they're cutting deals left and right and doing whatever they can to keep their customers. And so now is a great time to negotiate and to try to find unique opportunities to get in front of more people. And also understand, like, especially for those of you that conventions were your number one bag, like, guess what? This could be the best thing to ever happen to you if you can use this time to learn how to build your audience online, so that when conventions come back in full force, you've now got a super strong convention approach, but you've also got a rock solid online foundation as well. You're going to have the best years ever going forward if you can have that 1-2 punch. All right. So there you have it. 3 unique opportunities. There are more artists are available now and looking for work than ever before. The second is that there's more content slots to fill and more opportunities for you to go on other people's shows or podcasts or websites and get more exposure for your own work that way. And then the third is that paid traffic, especially on Facebook ads, from my own experience, is at an absolute discount, and it's a great time to invest in that stuff. All right. I do want to also point out, even though I promised you 3 things not related to Kickstarter, that Kickstarter needs you to launch. Kickstarter wants you to launch. All the hardworking people at Kickstarter who have seen projects dip, the number of projects launching dip, but also are seeing that the projects that are launching are succeeding. They want to see you launching on Kickstarter as well. So if you want a little bit of extra help with that and you haven't joined us over in the brand new Comics Launchers free Facebook group, comicslaunch.com/group is where you can request to join. Our group manager will get you approved, and we'll be able to help you work towards that next launch. Hope that helps. Hope you take advantage of some of the opportunities. If you've seen any opportunities that have popped up, any silver linings, any lemonade made out of these lemons, please leave them in the comments. Let's continue this discussion. I want to share those with more people, because, like, the last thing that I want to leave you all with is a truth about this current crisis and any crisis, is that worrying about what's going on, worrying about what the future does not increase our control about the future. It doesn't change the future any. Like, the act of worrying, the act of being anxious, the act of focusing on the problems doesn't help. So I'm not saying put our head in the sand. I'm not saying ignore the realities on the ground, but I am saying keep your head up and look for the opportunities that are out there. Look for any way that you can help anyone that needs to be pulled up, and launch. All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.